Hello, my name's Fox and I'm Bit Fox. I literally was gushing about Gamera, and then my camera went out, and I realized I didn't switch the battery. So that's my bad. But I did react to the first trailer, and then it got corrupted. So I'm gonna react to the second trailer instead. But I've seen the show. I love it. Go watch it because I'm gonna gush about Gamera. And if you know me, I love kaijus. I love Godzilla. Godzilla's my favorite. You got King Kong, and like here's the thing. Like I'm kind of on a Transformers kick, so I kind of got some things that's like, look, I got Ghidorah, I got King Kong, and then I got Godzilla. Oh wait, Rode. And it's not all their names, but still. All right, but anyways, let's watch the trailer. Then I'm gonna gush about Gamera. Because FYI, I am a very new fan of Gamera. Like, I want to bring that up right now. I am a very big new fan of Gamera. I've only seen one Gamera movie, but I have seen a review of all the old movies, mostly through Brandon Tenold, which I highly recommend. Because at least for me, older movies take me a longer time to watch sometimes because obviously some like how movies are made are very different from then and now. And sometimes some older movies can drag on, or they are extremely, like, I want to say silly, but bad sometimes. And honestly, watching it through a comedic lens with all this stuff does kind of help. And if you want to go watch them yourself, you can go watch them. But I will say, like, these are good. But I will say, go watch Guardian of the Universe Gamera, if I remember correctly, because there's like a whole, like, I think it's the Heisei revival thing where like Godzilla kind of happened, where like they made it more serious, and they did the same thing with Gamera, and it's really good. And also this show's really good. So I'm gonna react to this, and then I'm gonna gush about Gamera. So let's begin. 3, 2. Actually, hold on. Let me make sure this thing is recording. Yeah. Okay. Okay, and that's recording. Good. Okay. Just wanted to double check. All right, let's go. Oh god, copyrighted music is definitely going to be lower. Oh, they're showing way more. Spoilers. KAIJUS, Jaiga, Zigura, Goron, Virus. Will they really be safe? With this guy? Hell yeah. Gamera! Oh, this shows way more fights. Okay. God, okay. Gamera! Rebirth! Can't be. What's this? The moon! Alright, so again, I'm a very new fan of Gamera. Not of kaijus. I love kaijus. I think, technically speaking, the first kaiju I ever loved, that like I loved, like, the idea of a giant monster that breathes fire, giant dinosaur usually, was Reptar. Was Reptar, because I don't think I'd never seen a Godzilla before that. Reptar was like the first thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I love Reptar. And then I found out, then I think I watched the 99, 98 Godzilla movie, which I like. And honestly, I still do like. Honestly, I like it more now, especially after Godzilla Earth actually added, like, especially when I learned about different kaijus have different fighting styles and different forms of destruction. And Godzilla 98's version, I'm not going to call it Zilla, Godzilla 98's version is like lay eggs, destroy, run fast, and like swim and all this other stuff. And then it's not including like its son, which then has the classic atomic breath and is more Godzilla-esque. But I love Godzilla. He is my number one. He is the king. Kong is pretty cool. Does not top Godzilla. That being said, Gamera being a newer the first time I ever saw Gamera was Death Battles Godzilla versus Gamera, which if I remember correctly, Godzilla beat the shit out of him. But the first time I ever, like, that was the first time I ever saw Gamera, like, who the hell is this big ass turtle? And then it turns out, later on, I find out, oh shit, they were, very recently, like a few months ago, I recently found out, I'm like, oh shit, Gamera's a badass. And I love him so much. And like, I had brought up in like the Kong review, I had akin Kong to Naruto and Godzilla to Sasuke, which I'm not entirely sure what I would, if there is a Naruto character I would tie this to, but I want to tie this to archetypes instead. Kong is very much the hero, my friends are my power character. He's the one who does need backup from his supporting cast to beat the shit out of anyone substantial. That is his thing. He does have natural power. He could become one of the strongest, but he is limited for whatever reasons, and he is very low power. He is a very low powered and very easily killable kaiju. Versus Godzilla, he is more the, at least the MonsterVerse one, he is more of the loner, like Sasuke-esque character who is born with a natural ability and power. We're not saying he hasn't learned how to use said power through combat and over things, but he has a very big natural boost. And he is kind of born into almost royalty and also born into like godlike power. And I love him. Like, Godzilla is a badass. And if he goes down and needs help, you know the enemy is like ridiculously strong. You know 100%, oh shit. But then Godzilla will come back with an almighty godlike power. That is who Godzilla is. He is the Super Saiyan of kaijus. He even has a super form. Gamera? Gamera is that character who will get stabbed, cut up, lose an eye, lose limbs. All of this. Like, stabbed through the chest where the blade is like majority like gone through most of his organs. His heart is completely obliterated. Blade is stabbing out the back. Pulls the blade out. He falls down. And then he kind of just grunts, gets back up, and just goes, is that all you got? That is who Gamera is. Gamera is amazing. I love him for it. Like, he is a badass powerhouse, too. Like, I could see why people want to see Godzilla versus Gamera, because Gamera is legitimately probably one of the only kaijus I can think of who could literally stand up to Godzilla. Like, holy shit. Godzilla. And here's the thing, too. Especially because MonsterVerse is my favorite version of Godzilla. I love MonsterVerse. That's why I have his figure right here. He is probably my favorite version of... He is my favorite version of Godzilla. I love this version so damn much. Especially... And apparently, like, he might have taken some stuff from ideas from Gamera. I don't know. But I love this so much. Especially, it's like the idea that he is... Like, all the Titans are naturally... Or, yeah, Titans, the Kaijus that are naturally born. They're naturally born, and like Godzilla just is the one who fought and is now on top. He is the king of the monsters. His people have ruled this earth along against the Kongs, who are, another race that he fought against. Like, they're the two separate races, but both are ridiculously powerful. Both are ridiculously powerful in their own right. But, like, Godzilla is the one on top. He is the king of the monsters. And, like, he is a natural born thing. And, like, he will protect the balance of Earth. Like, that's the thing, too. Like, I don't know if the comic has come out yet. But, like, there's, like, Godzilla versus the Justice League. Godzilla versus Kong versus the Justice League. And people are saying, what would Godzilla's whole thing be here? It's like, well, the world's out of balance because there's goddamn giant monsters and superhumans, all that stuff. That's probably why Godzilla's here, because Godzilla is the king of Earth. He is the protector of Earth. and he will protect this Earth. Even though that means he will have to destroy some humans, only if, like, they're trying to screw with him and, like, create, you know, I don't know, a mechanical version of himself, but with the mind of his worst enemy. Something like that. Like, so I love that. Gamera is not, like, really an opposite, but he is kind of also. Like, he is still a hero and guardian of Earth, but it's because he's also created. Like, all the kaiju in Gamera's universe, at least in this version, are all created by the people of Mu, which, Mu is pretty much Atlantis, but in the Pacific. Like, that's literally what it is. It's a sunken, highly advanced continent that's sunk beneath the Pacific waters versus Atlantis, Atlantis where it fell between Atlantic waters. That is where that's pretty much the difference. But where Mu created these ancient kaiju. Spoilers, I guess. This is Gamera lore from the other one too, but, like, you know, whatever. Spoilers for this show. Go watch it. It's really great. Created the different kaijus, and Gamera was created to fight them as, like, the last resort, the guardian, protector, and all that stuff. That being said, but the thing too is, like, the cool thing about that, about him being a man-made created weapon too, that's different from, let's say, Godzilla, because I love Godzilla, and mind you, Godzilla, oh no, in Monsterverse he's not man-created, though in the other one he is man-created, but through an accident. Godzilla comes with some very major strings attached, I think, which, that's not saying, like, oh no, it makes me dislike the character or anything. I love the character, but it does throw your hands in the air on what you're going to kind of get for some movies. One, like, for example, I love the Monsterverse movies. They're great. They have some of the most badass, like, giant kaiju fights, I think, honestly. I love the Monsterverse. And then you have something like, Shin Godzilla, which, I get it. Godzilla originally, and mind you, Monsterverse still has its own subtext too, where originally Godzilla was, you know, an allegory for the atomic bomb, and then in Shin Godzilla he's an allegory for the reactors exploding in Japan that happened back then, the destruction of chaos. I get that 100%. But by God, and I get it was a big thing in Japan, and, you know, it was probably really funny for Japanese, but for me, like, when me being excited, I'm like, yes, I heard Shin Godzilla is so good, I want to see it. I told my mother, hey, do you want to see this movie with me? I put in the it was one of the first things I bought with, like, my paycheck when I got this one job. I bought Shin Godzilla and bought the figure of him. And I put it in, and I'll say this right now, I loved everything that had to do with Godzilla. I hated the human character. The human character was like, meeting, and I get it. It's context and, you know, allegory and stuff like that. And I, like, you know, about how the government was slow to react. I 100% get that. Still annoying as hell. Still pretty damn boring. But everything with Godzilla, like the destruction, all that stuff, I love that shit. And mind you, Monsterverse, I honestly think, now mind you though, Monsterverse isn't really an allegory for the atomic bomb. He is an allegory for nature itself, where either you work with it or it will destroy your ass. And I like that allegory a lot. I love that allegory, honestly. Like, I love the idea that kaijus are nature itself trying to reform balance, and, you know, either you work with it or you destroy it. Or you either work with it or you get destroyed by it. Like, nature, you ain't screwing with nature. Nature's screwing with you. That being said, Gamera, but that being said, also, like, that's certain ties you kind of got with, like, certain things. So certain movies, again, are going to be, you know, those ones who are going to be like, you know, aha, government's stupid, which 100% is. But, like, it's going to be something like that. You either get Shin or you get Monsterverse. And honestly, I prefer the more Monsterverse ones, but I understand the need for the Shin ones for, you know, stuff like that. But also, on the other note of that, just in story-wise, Godzilla's abilities are usually all tied to his atomic radiation. Whether it be his atomic breath or his burning Godzilla form. I say usually, but then also I do have this figure, which literally comes apart and becomes a part kaiju mechanical form and stuff. So like I guess Godzilla isn't necessarily tied to it, but then again, this is only toy wise. But that being said, Gamera is not really tied to that, I want to say. Where I guess in this one, at least, he does have his own radiation substitutes with like the Oranium, which is like this special mineral, which it was in it is in the revival of Gamera too, where like that like it is kind of like that, but like you can have him, but something unlike Godzilla, where Godzilla is more like, okay, a natural creature created, like Mechagodzilla, 100% you can do pretty much whatever the hell you want, but Godzilla's up, atomic breath. You have to have like his powers are usually tied to his radiation, and you will have, and mind you, I'm not saying this in a bad way. Again, it's tied to his radiation, and then you also have God, I love this toy so much. You have it tied to his radiation, and like different things. Where again, atomic breath or his burning Godzilla form. Hell, he has knives in his shins. This toy is so great. I want to get the Kong one. I want to get the Kong one so bad. They have him where he transforms to kind of like this, but he gets sunglasses. God, I love toys that are just straight toys. It's so good. Why does Godzilla have all these mechanical bits? No goddamn idea. Because toy logic, and it's kind of amazing. Toy logic is so great. But I forgot his arm blade, his hidden blade. Yeah, so that's Titan transformation Mechagodzilla. God, if you saw this coming at you, you better friggin' run. Brenda's flap there. I think this shoots rockets. I don't know. Or it's supposed to shoot rockets. I don't know. In any case. God, look at that. That's so cool. Anyways. God. Okay. God. All right. So Godzilla is kind of tied to those different abilities. Kind of tied to his radiation, stuff like that. Gamera, though he does have his own radiation kind of ability, and obviously his kind of abilities, they can play up his abilities way differently, or he could be just completely outlandish, and you could just kind of tie it to, he was created as a weapon to fight these kaijus. Like, this is in the water, but like, you can kind of see it right here, where his arms turn into fins, and then he shoots fire out of his ass to fly through the air. Like, it's like, okay, he shoots like fireballs at me, like, all right. Then you have stuff like, he generates enough heat through his body. I don't think it's here, but he can generate enough heat through, you can kind of see, it's still swimming, but like, he can generate heat through his body and then use shining, burning fingers from Gundam and shove it down a kaiju's throat and just burn him alive. He could shoot fire out of his arms and feet, start spinning around like a salt. Is the most classic thing. This was him flying too, but his spinning around, and then his shell will then like rotate the scales to be like a saw blade, to then be a giant flying kaiju disc of death just slicing through shit. Like, Gamera is because you can play up, okay, he can do all this because he was created. Maybe he has a mutation for something like that. And you can just make him the most silliest shit ever, which is good. Kaiju should have some silly shit in it. Because that's the other thing, too. Like, mind you, yes, these are... Because here's the thing, like, both... I'm going to say this right now. I love Godzilla Monsterverse. And I will say, too, actually, if anything, like, Monsterverse does it right, too, with the classic monsters. The only monsters that I feel like I don't really give a shit about are the newer ones. which I'm gonna go ahead and really, oh shit, it's not broken. Okay. Which I'm gonna really hope with the new Godzilla Kong movie coming out, I think next year. Hopefully, I don't know. It's, the strikes and everything. But hopefully coming out soon. I'm gonna really hope. Or even like the new Godzilla show that's supposed to be coming out soon. I'm gonna really hope like we get some more original monsters with some more original abilities, because a lot of those abilities, a lot of the newer monsters, I just don't like. Like Pacific Rim has the same issue. Like I can kind of remember a vague idea of the kaijus from Pacific Rim, and that's kind of it. None of them really say anything. All I know is one of them has a knife face, which is pretty much a reference to, let's see. Here, Guron. It's pretty much a reference to Guron. And it's like, okay, and like the Mudos, like, okay, I guess they no, they didn't have anything. Like, they were just like, okay, one flies, one is big. That's kind of it. Like, there was nothing I really cared about them. Versus, you have Ghidorah with his, signature electrical beams. You have Mothra with her dust. You have Rodan with his fire, fire off of his body and stuff. Like, you have so many cool... I draw Prima Prime. Also, I love the Prime Masters. Headmaster is also really freaking cool. Especially Dabaru here. Or White Leo. But anyways, well, he's not a Prime Master. He's a Headmaster. Anyways, I'll have a whole thing talking about Transformers at some point, I'm sure. In any case, each of these monsters have their own... I think Gamera didn't... And also another thing, like I said about like Godzilla, whether you have, a Shin Godzilla where it's more... an allegory thing where it focuses way more on the allegory part, which I understand is very needed for some cases, and I'm not saying anything against that, but again, certain things were kind of sluggish for me, but hey, Japan liked it, so, they're going to get more of that. Fine. Whereas this Monsterverse, where I love that it's kaiju fights, but also still has the allegory too. Gamera is in the point where it's just, we're just doing goddamn kaiju fights. Like, and it has some really good ones. And the thing is, all the monsters that he fights are unique. All the monsters he fights have cool abilities. And I love it. And that's what newer kaijus need. And I'm hoping in the new Godzilla vs. Kong, New Empire, that new kaiju is going to have some new abilities. Or some new skills, something. Because, like, just look at these guys. Like, Gaius here. Yeah, it's a flying giant pterodactyl kind of thing. Pretty kind of Rodanish. But it shoots an energy beam. It has a breath weapon. But the breath weapon is like a blade. It's like you shoot it and it cuts things in half. It just, like almost like a lightsaber cutting through. It just cuts buildings off in half. And it's so good at flying. Then you have, I can't remember if he actually had a breath weapon. He kind of really just ran around and stabbed shit with his face. Zigra, I believe, had a weapon. I can't remember. This guy. Oh, God, I love him. Gurren, like, not only do I love his fighting style of flipping through the air and slamming his face down, just cut things. He has his own kind of breath weapon where he shoots, like, in the original one, it's like just ninja swords come out of his head. And it's like an energy beam bounces off and shoots, like, the spinning blades and stabs into shit. It's really cool. And then you have, Virus here, who at one point can just shoot an energy beam from its head like a turret and go pew! And shit, like, oh my god. And then, like, he, like, manipulate his body to then defy gravity, which is the kind of reason why these kaijus can kind of fly, and some of them can fly and stuff, which I'm like, okay, I can dig that. I can dig this. And, like, I love that idea, because I've had that idea for kaijus before, like, that's how you would do it. Also, let me just say this, friend. And, like, mind you, everything to do with the kaijus, it's kind of like Shin Godzilla. Everything to do with the kaijus, oh my god, it's so good. The fights are really good, badass. And here's the thing, too. Like, that whole, like, thing that I talked about, like, Gamera being the guy who gets cut up and beaten up. And, like, he's just too angry to die or too determined to die. Like, that's not, like, that's not, like, me, like, just hyping him up. This kaiju, like, and again, kind of a reference to older Gamera movies and stuff, gets the shit kicked out of him. And if Kaiju gets stabbed, he gets stabbed. When he gets a limb chopped off, he gets a limb chopped off. Like, you just see all the shit, him getting hurt. Like, oh my god. There is blood and shit. Like, it is so, there's a lot of cursing too. I also love that his is like a fireball versus like, you know, different from Godzilla's atomic breath. This is really good. Like, I really, really like this. And here's the thing too. And also let's get to the human characters, I guess. Just FYI, human character wise. Okay, so here's Kenny. Go watch Brand's Head of why he's called Kenny. Or Gregory, because, you know, the brown hair, the, you know, striped shirt and all that. Gregory from FNAF. Gregory and his friends. Girl. No, that's not true. She doesn't deserve, like, the idea of, like, she's the girl of the group. No, she's actually, like, very smart. Very, she's the weird kid one. And also, I kind of, like, it's weird. It's been a minute since I've seen the she's a girl, what? Kind of, character. But also, it's weird, like, it's weird why it's a thing in this. Because, like, there wasn't really even that big of a... Like, okay. Also, can you tell he's American because he's blonde and blue-eyed? Like, all Americans are? Anyways. Okay, so. You got Gregory. You got Joe. You got her. And then you got Brody. Or I would say Double D. Okay, so. Yeah, but it's weird because, like, this show has a thing about pee. Don't ask me. It's weird. It's less weird than the farting in Dragon Prince. You know, you be you. But in any case, yeah, there's a whole thing with pee and stuff. But like, there's a point where she says she has to pee, and like, she leaves. But then like, there's no point where these two have to pee in a bucket to fight the bullies. Because at one point they create weapons to fight the bullies that steal their money. He was one of the bullies at the time. And like they pee and then she looks away. I'm like, okay, she's a girl. And then, eventually, like when it is shown, like she's a girl, and like the character's like, yeah, we know she's a girl. And he's like, what? But how could that be? And suddenly, then he suddenly starts having feelings for her. I'm like, really? That was the only thing that stopped you? Okay, whatever, man. Like, I don't know. It was just like, I was like, and it wasn't even like that big. Like, wow! It's like, I don't know, like. I don't know what the point of that was, other than, okay, it's not all boys, and, like, she's not just a girl, I guess. I don't know. I do not know. But, pretty much, he's the big brother archetype for him. He's the young kid who's connected with Gamera, because that's kind of the thing. You know, best friend, but also the really smart one. He's kind of the muscle who gets roped into this event. He gets roped into this after being bullied and like Gauss like killing a bunch of people, and eventually like these four kind of just slowly becoming friends. He's kind of a bully and jerk, and like character interactions flip flop back and forth really weirdly. Like sometimes like he'll bully them around and he'll be like, oh, okay, but then when Joe starts doing it, he's like, whoa, stop it. It's like, it's so, and like the characters are fine. I will say they are the least interesting I cared about in this. They were the least interesting I cared about in this. And then, yeah, like, he's probably the best character, honestly. Like, he's just, he was like, I don't get paid enough for this. And, like, he is just like, what are we doing? Like, are you insane? You kids are nuts. And, like, he's honestly probably the best character. Like, I'm trying to, what did I put in the notes for him? Because I put some, like, also, spoilers? Like, very end. At the end, he becomes Steve Jobs. I guess it's hinted at that he uses Moo technology to do this. And he makes a smartphone, and then it kind of just ends there for that. It's like, okay. Also, he called the kids a fucking idiot, which was really funny. I'm like, oh shit. Uh, God, and like the whole thing is like the kids are like gonna get separated for the summer, but they want to have like adventure and all that stuff, and like the whole thing happens with the kaijus pop up, and they call them straight kaijus in this. And I'll say this right now, maybe it would have been better if it was 2D animated, because there's even with just two scenes where it's 2D. Like showing these two when they first met, kind of. And I don't know, maybe animation would have helped it a lot more. Because other than that, like the character designs are just kind of okay. I just keep thinking he's Lemillion from My Hero. And Gregory. But I don't know, like, and here's the thing too, like Shin Godzilla. Godzilla's Singular Point. If you took Godzilla's Singular Point, because Godzilla's Singular Point, I ain't gonna lie, probably has some of the best written Godzilla human characters. And mind you, that's not even saying, like, I love the MonsterVerse characters, honestly. They're not bad, and they honestly fill the role really well. Especially, like, I liked the dad in King of the Monsters and then Godzilla vs. Kong, because his whole thing is he studies animals and how they react and stuff like that. So when Godzilla looks down at someone and starts glowing and stuff, he's like, everyone can stop. And like, he's doing this. Like, it's a thing to show like he is, in control, and we have to allow that. He's the one who knows about nature and knows Godzilla is that form of nature. And like, look, either you work with it or it's gonna kill you. Like, and I love that so much. Even like in this one, they're like, if we can't control Gamera, how do we know if we're protected? It's like, you better freaking make friends with it. That's how you better freaking do it. Like, again, it's kind of like the Superman and the new Superman show. Or like even stuff like the MCU where they're like, heroes should be under government law and stuff like that. It's like, why? We already seen what you guys do with people with powers. Why would on earth would we ever allow you to have control of that? Why would giving you governments having control of that any kind of a good idea? But yeah, these pretty much the kaijus are all hunting down these kids, really him, for like the final plan of some people who are living on the moon, which, okay, major spoiler for the end. So skip ahead a little bit. And like, you know what? I'll clap 3 times and that'll be a signal that I'm done talking. Got it? Okay. So you just look at it. Okay. So Gamera snipes the main bad guys from Earth at the moon. He just goes, pew, and just shoots through them and just kills, and it's so damn hilarious. And I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. I love this show. Alright, you're back for everyone? Okay, cool. Yeah, Gamera is amazing. I love him so much. Also, it was very Godzilla-esque what he did there. But, yeah, like, that's this thing. Like, Gamera, like, though I'm not saying, like, I didn't like the kaiju parts in Singular Point. I love the kaiju parts in that. But they are very far and few between for some bits. And then Godzilla himself doesn't really compare until, like, the very, very end for a little bit. So, like, at least fully. So, like, there's a really, really good kaiju show. If you took the humans from Singular Point and the kaiju battles and the kaiju fights and like even the lore and shit from the Gamera Rebirth and you merge them together. There's a really, really, really good show there. They're like, holy shit, is there a really, really good show there? That also saying that too. Godzilla? No. Like the Netflix Godzilla show. Like that one definitely had an issue where there was not enough kaijus in there. The world was interesting, some bits, but like the human characters were kind of okay. But then like the kaiju weren't really that major of it. And it's like, you could have added more kaiju in there, whether it be Mecha Godzilla or it'd be, Mothra and stuff like that. Like, you could have added more of that. Like, Mothra makes kind of an appearance, and that's it. Ghidorah makes kind of an appearance. Ghidorah and Godzilla are the only two who really make a bigger appearance in there. And it's like, Like, Rebirth, I think, did it so well of bringing it back. And here's the thing, too. And here's what I say they should have done for Gamera Rebirth. And maybe they'll do it for season 2. I doubt it, because they'll probably stick with this. Make the human characters 2D. Keep the human characters 2D. Keep the kaijus CG. I feel like that is such the best way to do an animated kaiju show. Because the CG for the kaiju allows them to be bigger, more detailed, and allows for them to allows them to be one of the few things you need to pay to make CG models of, and you have it to where they feel otherworldly and bigger. Which really stands out more when the human characters are all 2D animated. I think it works really well, especially now with CGI. Especially now, because again, CGI for human characters, it just still doesn't look, at least for right now, at least for lower budget stuff like that, it doesn't feel the greatest. Unless they need to do more with these character designs, I guess. I don't know. But that being said, there's a really good show there. But God, this show is honestly really fun. This show is that's the thing too. Again, I was saying about Godzilla being tiny things. He obviously needs to be an allegory for something. Usually, well, it doesn't have to be, but being an allegory is a very major part of it. In Monsterverse, they use that allegory very well to tie in the whole thing with monster fights being, battles of nature and stuff. I like that. Versus Shin, where I get it, I understand devastation and all that stuff. I 100% understand that. But the human side was so damn boring, and so my mother fell asleep while we were watching. I'm like, yeah, fine. I completely understand it. I'm not gonna try to. That's a movie where she will fall asleep sometimes during a movie, and I would wake her wake up, watch it, you gotta watch this. With Shin Godzilla, I was like, you can go to sleep. It's fine. It's fine. I'm watching this, and it's just because I got this movie, and I'm like, God damn it. But I legitimately think, Gamera, but the thing with Gamera is the stereotype of what you think of kaijus. The idea of giant monsters battling it out for some reason, and that is it. That's pretty much it. You can make an allegory for these guys are weapons and humans, whatever. You can make some kind of allegory, I'm sure, with Gamera, or maybe there is an allegory there. I don't know. The idea that the power of imagination in children will outlast. I have no idea. Will defeat the stupidity of adults creating dumbass weapons. I have no idea. But Gamera is in its core kaiju fights, and that's what this show does so extremely well. The kaiju fights are done amazingly. I will say there is kind of a formula to some of them, but I don't even want to say that because it's still really good. I'll just say this right now, he does an iconic kill for each of these guys. Honestly, also I will say this: there's a point, spoilers, where a character does get cut in half, and the bad guys are watching, because there are bad guys specifically watching this, and I love that the two halves get cut in half and are falling, and then the detector thing where it only shows little dots of this and this. It literally goes the name of the monster, but at two different points, and it's a question mark. Jeff? Just two halves of it falling. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Even the character's I think it's these two things. It's so damn good. But yeah, Gamera is great. Also, here's a fun thing too, if you want to know. You're similar thing to Zodiac, or whether it be the Chinese Zodiac, which goes off your year, and then elements based off your it's based off your year also, I think a 5-year transition versus the 12-year transition for the Chinese zodiac, or your birth year zodiac, your birth month zodiac, all that stuff. Like, whether you believe that shit or not, I just think it's cool, like, to know what yours is, because it's, like, oh yeah, this is mine. Like, I'm a dog. My Chinese zodiac is the dog. My element is wood. I love that shit. That being said, there's one for the 4 seasons. So you got summer, which I think is a dragon, if I'm remembering correctly. Spring. Is spring a tiger? Or is that fall? I don't remember. In any case, what I do remember is winter. Because winter is a giant black turtle with a snake wrapped around it. And, giant turtle. I'm just saying, like, I got Okami for my video games. I also got Godzilla. Well, Godzilla's badass. But I also got Gamera. So, and a giant snake. Because, but anyways, yeah, like, I love this shit so much. Also, I got the devil for my Zodiac card, but, and Saturn, aka Cronus. Cronus, the god of gods. Anyways, I love this show, honestly, like, legitimately. It is a fun-ass show. And, again, there's references to, like, older Gamera things, which, one, the gore, like, some of the stuff, like, when the kids at one point find, like, a baby turtle, which is a reference to it was, like, the first time they tried to revive Gamera, and they revive, and it's like, oh, look, it's a baby turtle, and apparently that baby turtle might have been Gamera growing big, but we don't know. Because Gamera does at one point just appear, so like, was it that turtle? Was it not? But it most likely wasn't, because at the end, spoilers. Spoilers. Spoilers, we do see a reason why that's not it, pretty much. I'm not going to say more about that. But, God. This show is great. I love the kaiju designs. I love the silly factor, which again, Pacific Rim, some of the newer MonsterVerse monsters, they need that silly factor. Because that silly factor is what makes a kaiju. It's a kaiju movie. You need that silly factor, which Kong is great, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't have that silly factor. But he does have the cool, I have an axe. That's cool. That is badass. I do like that. But you're not taking the crown from the king, the true king of the monsters, because he has that silly factor. He's a giant radioactive dinosaur that shoots atomic breaths out of his mouth. It's silly, and that's what makes it cool. And that's what Gamera is. He's a giant turtle who shoots fireballs at his mouth, creates fire underwater, spins around with blade saws, and does a sonic spin dash at a kaiju size, and flies around with his arms as wings, and shoots fire out of his ass. That's what makes him cool, because he has that silliness. And that silliness adds so much to the character, I think. I don't know. And it's also a reason why I'm honestly loving, Transformers again a little bit, because there's that silly factor. Headmasters make really, Headmasters, again, it's a little guy who turns into the head of the giant robot. I'm not going to transform him, but he's a little guy who transforms into the head of a transformer. Like, that is silly. But it's so cool. Like, it's so cool how it's done. Like, that's how it goes. That's how it works. And it adds so much when you have that silly factor and you make it badass. Godzilla has that. Gamera has that. A lot of the newer kaijus in, like, the MonsterVerse or other stuff don't have that. And they need that. They need that silly factor. And Gamera is full of that. And I love it so much. Let me see. Is there anything quick before I end this? Because I think I am done. Kid with glasses is a girl. Yeah. Bike isn't even Joe's. Gregory's mom has a bowl cut. Lemillion. Bullies are straight racist. Yeah. Well, yeah. Makes bombs and flamethrowers. That was really funny. The kids make those to fight the bullies at one point. They never get to use them. Like, Pacific Rim HQ. Snake. Pac-Man. Oh, yeah. There's a Snake Pac-Man like combination at one point. You think it's like Snake Man or something. No way, that's just a turtle, right? He says as the giant fire-breathing turtle flies away. It's like, really? Also, I'm not sure when this takes place. I think it's supposed to take place like in the 90s because they don't have any recent technology. Like maybe late 90s, maybe like probably 98 or something or so. Because then like the smartphone is the thing that happens. Like that guy becomes Steve Jobs. It's not a monster. It's a kaiju. It's not a monster. It's a kaiju, a strange beast. Dude in a tank waiting. Oh yeah, there's a whole thing with like a dude in a tank, like throughout it, just waiting for him to get called in. When he does get called in, he's a badass. Brody has a crush on her now. Knife head backflips. I have excellent vision, says the one with glasses. Shooting the stars. Anime being 2D probably would have been better. Yeah, minus code. Yeah, there's a whole thing. There's a lot of things it sets up for stuff like things like characters who have a minus code, like the kaijus eating. Also, one thing I really like too, that the other kaijus actually get stronger eating other kaijus. Like eating like one, if a kaiju eats the body of another kaiju, that you use the power of that kaiju to power itself up, become stronger. I love that idea. That is a really, really cool idea. Just the kaiju side of the thing, I'm like, oh yeah, that's really freaking cool. Commander knows something is coming from the ocean. Japan is winning. He calls Kid a fucking idiot. Oh, God, evil Gamera. God, yeah, anyways. I love this show. Go check it out. It's really damn good. I want a season 2 of this. And they highly hint that they want to do a season 2, and I really, really want to see it. Especially because, again, I want to see, like, okay, unlike Godzilla, who has, like, a shit ton of enemies, Gamera has 5, like, pretty much, I think only 5, like, major enemies. And even then, like, this also makes reference that Gaius, whatever. Gauss, that was his name, Gauss. That Gauss, they make a reference to Gauss coming back, because Gauss is one of the only bad guys that Gamera has fought multiple times, that he just comes back. Like, he's, like, kind of like his Ghidorah, kind of. But, like, Gamera doesn't have, like, as many movies as Godzilla, so he doesn't have as many enemies as him, but I want to see what a season 2 will do and see, like, you know, them making new kaijus. And I want them to make it with that silly factor. And I feel like Gamera could pull it off. If Gamera could pull that off where the Monsterverse has yet to, or, you know, newer kaiju movies have been able to, I'd be so impressed and I'd be so happy. I would be so happy. But yeah, tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Which videos that I've done. Links are my face. Come to the other side for your videos. Hope you enjoy this. There's a Gamera figure of Rebirth Gamera, and I want to get him. Because I want to put him right next to everyone. But yeah, so watching, and again, I am a new fan of Gamera. Gamera has blown his way up the list of one of my favorite kaijus. Godzilla is still number 1, but Gamera is like right there next to him, and I love it. But thanks for watching your videos, and we will see you later. I don't know, it's just giant robots and stuff like that. It's so freaking cool. Also, I realized like a lot of my Transformers are all like turned to different animals or creatures and stuff like that, rather than cars and stuff, which I find really funny. But then also, I'm like, I love kaiju, so that also does not surprise me.